Welcome to HacDC's mediocre educational video documentary on LCD TV repair, in particular repair of a bad backlight LED on a 60-inch Sharp Aquos Quattron. It's pictured in this photo when it was working. However, a unit has stopped working, the backlight was clearly not coming on, and the power indicator was flashing. We reset the unit by holding the volume, input, and power buttons, but the backlight was still not coming on. So, let's fix this thing. Step 1. Remove the LEDs. Here we've laid the television face down on a flat, clean surface to avoid scratching the panel. Then we got a few friends and a few screwdrivers and got to work removing the back cover. With the cover gone, we're looking at the various boards on the back of the unit, paying particular attention to the power supply board. We didn't see any obviously bad bulging capacitors or burn marks or bullet holes and so forth. We also gained access to the LED power connectors of the power supply board. Here, we could test the left, right, top and bottom LED strips independently, but as this would require between 90 and 150 volts DC at about 100 milliamps, we decided to continue disassembling the unit to reach individual diodes instead. The TV is composed of 4 panels: the back cover that we already removed, the backlight panel with the front and control boards attached, the liquid crystal panel, and the front plastic bezel that contains the front speakers and the buttons. To access a backlight, we need to separate the backlight panel from the LCD panel that fits snugly around it. It's held in by at least 6 brackets on the rear and a set of screws that are behind the front bezel. We begin by removing the metal brackets and front bezel. There are connectors for the front speakers and a small ribbon connector for the front controls, which is easily detached by unlocking the black lever on the connector. There are also 2 wide ribbon cables connecting the liquid crystal panel to the control board at the bottom of the unit. These are also easily unlocked and disconnected, as shown here on the top left of the image. Here we've lifted the TV out of its front bezel and placed it carefully on a soft surface. Then flipped the unit over to access the screws on the front. With those screws removed, finally we can lift the liquid crystal panel away from the backlight panel and set it aside carefully on a soft surface. On the backlight panel, the diodes are tucked and taped around the edge, and we can now see the top and bottom strips are actually 2 strips in series each. These strips are easily unplugged and removed. Step 2. Find and replace the bad diode. Here we are using a multimeter in a diode test mode to test individual diodes from the backlight strips. Note that the polarity of the LEDs alternates, with the even and odd numbered ones mounted in opposite directions, so we test the odd diodes and then the even diodes. About 200 diodes later, we found a bad one and a handful of others nearby that were much dimmer than the rest. Those turned out to be diodes 1, 2, and 3 on 2 separate strips. This is Julia using the hot air rework station and soldering iron to remove the old diode and replace it with a new diode. Here we have to be careful to install the new diode the right way around, with the polarity matching that of the other odd diodes. The second diode on this strip was also unusually dim when we tested it, but the heat from the soldering iron and the hot air rework blower finished it off. So in our second diode replacement, we applied some thermal paste to the back of the LED strip and tied its metal heatsink to it. This did a good job at keeping adjacent diodes cool during soldering. We use a multimeter to verify the new part has survived the soldering. We had a Sharp GM128830B MAC light-emitting diode on hand, which was a noticeably warmer shade than the original diode. Sharp makes this part in several other shades of white, and the 40B MAC might be closer to the original color. The likely cause of failure is overheating due to inadequate heat sinking of the PCB board to its metal backing. Be sure to apply thermal compound to the back of the board when reassembling the TV to avoid this issue in the future. With the diodes replaced, we just put the TV back together again, and we can be confident that the TV will be back in working order.
Look at that!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
It's working!
They're small.
They're also pretty stripped.
That was nice of them to do that. So these are your strips.
Yep. These are indeed the LED strips.
And something's out.
And
Microscope?
yes.
I could actually, can I look, are these physical? Can we actually look at the...
I have a microscope.
Yeah.
Flip it upside down. I have no freaking clue the polarity.
How to do manual focusing on this thing?
So you
I only slightly cooked my thumb. Really? You stuck that easy and then you stuck in the wrong place. Okay. Oh, my iron turned itself off.